Today, three-quarters of the world's extremely poor people live in rural areas. Close to 800 million people live in poverty, depending on subsistence agriculture and other meager rural occupations. In Africa, the overwhelming poverty in rural areas is believed to stem from low productivity in agriculture. Most development experts still believe agriculture and rural development are key factors in eradicating poverty. The rural areas are therefore targets for generally combating poverty in Africa. Most aid coming from developed countries are channeled to improving income and food security of the rural poor. Currently, there is an increased demand for food, grains and animal products in Africa. But can the rural poor exploit the opportunity to meet this increasing demand? Or will importation of food items still usurp the potential role of peasant farmers in African development? This is a serious poser for nations like Nigeria, where the agricultural sector is still underdeveloped and the nation ever increasingly relying on the importation of food for its rising population. One of the international institutions that are keen on tackling productivity in rural areas is the African Development Bank, which provided a loan of $15 million as a counterpart funding in 2003 for a project titled Community-Based Agriculture and Rural Development Project. The project, which was signed in December 2003, had aimed at reducing poverty by improving food security and income of rural dwellers in 5 target states of the Federation. The 5 states selected in Nigeria were Adamawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Kaduna and Kwara states, with the project headquarters in Bauchi. Among the 5 selected states, only 45 local governments were selected to benefit from the project. The project had focused on 4 main areas of intervention. They are capacity development, production development, community development, and management and coordination. International donors keen on not supporting failed projects insist on complete involvement of beneficiary farmers in planning and executing projects. Rural dwellers also have their own local knowledge that could be crucial to solving problems. A strategy called Rural Participatory Appraisal is a technique adopted by the project. Participatory Rural Appraisal (PRA) was used by the project to create interest and community organizations that are mobilized to imbibe the skills of planning and implementing development plans during and after the project period. The project not only developed the capabilities of beneficiary farmers, but also local officials and state supervisors. Transfer of knowledge through extension services remains pivotal in building the capabilities of rural farmers. The project had ensured that scientifically verified methods of farming and boosting production are passed to local farmers and entrepreneurs. The International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, IITA, is one of the institutes that had collaborated with the project in research and extension services. Crop yield had remained a challenge to rural farmers, but with the help of the project, new varieties were introduced that dramatically changed the tonnage farmers harvested per hectare. The striga, a parasitic plant, has been devastating agriculture in the savannah region of Nigeria for a long time. In several areas, the parasite became a catastrophic hindrance to the cultivation of sorghum, maize and cowpea. With the help of the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, the project introduced varieties of crops that are resistant to striga and other parasites. With the help of International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, the project introduced varieties of crops that are resistant to striga and other parasites.
We realize that farmers' practices of production, have been bedeviled by low yields, because the technologies of production, that were passed to our fathers and farmers, over the years, are dying down, either because our parents have died and the extension officers are retiring, and more farmers are not being trained on new production methods. So the yield is getting down year in and year out. So the coming of this project is to, enhance the production capability of our farmers so that they can produce their crops and benefit within a small net area. There will be abundance of yield. So that is just the focus.
Although there is a general awareness among rural dwellers of the importance of innovations and new technologies, access and know-how had remained obstacles to the diffusion of new ideas. The project had focused on helping farmers to boost yields, harvest quality products, reduce risks in farming, and protect the environment through technology and innovations.
Zamanin kakanninmu sun yi albasa, daga baya kakanninmu suka kare, iyayenmu suka yi albasa, iyayenmu wasu suna rayu wasu sun rasu, yayinmu wasu suna yin albasa, amma ba mu samu ɗaukaka albasa irin wannan ba. Tunda idan an kawo albasa, an gyara gurin albasa, kasan ma sai mun ji a gurin da kokuna suke samu, su yayinmu muke gidawa da kokuna. Da mu dasa albasa sai dai mu rinka jidowa takin gargajiya a kai irin kamar misalin kashin awaki, kashin tumaki, kashin shanu, ko a tara kara sai a kona.
Boosting fish farming and processing using plastic tanks was one of the innovations introduced by the project. Plastic tank fish farming promises to reduce the cost of fishery by limiting the amount of water required, unlike the earth and concrete tank methods. Plastic tanks also ensure the hygiene of fingerlings and harvested fish.
I also taught our farmers fisheries. Many farmers think that fishes can only grow in the rivers and in the lakes, but we taught them that we can grow fish in plastic containers like we are seeing here. And within a short time, the fish will grow, and within 4 to 5 months, at most 6 months, they sell, and they make tremendous profit from this.
Duk mai rayin da ya zo kasan nan zai ce an amfana da kungiya. Mu da yanzu mun zama abin shigawa. Duka inda kamar yadda kuka zirce mun nan wallahi daga wani gari ake zuwa a je cikin nan ana murna. Mutum wanda bai taba gani yana mamaki ne. To mu mun gode ubangiji Allah ya rufa Allah ya kara mana bunƙasa wannan abu.
Livestock farming is another area that benefited from the project intervention. Today, even in Africa, the demand for animal products has increased. However, traditional livestock production could hardly meet the increasing demands for meat and animal products. This is due mainly to the inefficiency of traditional animal husbandry. Cattle, for instance, are traditionally grazed in open fields. This practice has many drawbacks, however. Apart from increased danger of rapid disease transmission, cattle, when grazing freely, are confined to feed on low or poor quality feeds. To address the problem, the project engaged the services of a specialist who trained livestock farmers in disease control, vaccination, and livestock feeds.
Animals, especially small ruminants like sheep and goat, which lambing rate is just 1. But we have been able to introduce, small ruminant that can lamb 2 or 3 at a time. And within a small time, you see that a farmer will have so many animals within his vicinity. And we have also tried to introduce improved breeds of livestock so that they can crossbreed with our local one, so that we can have animals that grow fast and they sell higher in the market. Like we've introduced Uda and Balami, and we have seen the result. We have also introduced cattle fattening. Many a times people forget that if you fatten a cattle, you can sell, and then the money you can buy 2 smaller ones that can help you in farming. We have also tried to encourage our farmers into animal traction. Tractors are very difficult to come by, but when you use animal traction, you plow your land, you harrow your land with your animals. This reduces drudgery, and when you do that, the farmer increases the land area under his cultivation and subsequently the yield.
Indeed, several smallholders benefited from the upgrading of livestock and small ruminants in the 5 target states of the project. Through the amelioration scheme, the project succeeded in increasing the productivity of cattle, sheep, swine and poultry in several beneficiary village areas. A total of 15 insemination experts from 5 states were trained on the process of artificial insemination. After the training, they were given insemination equipment to propagate the modern technology of crossbreeding indigenous cattle to produce more milk and meat. Another challenge facing rural agriculture is the loss of harvested products, mainly due to poor storage, lack of processing capacities and access roads to transport goods to the markets. The project saw an opportunity of linking agro-processing, income generation and rural infrastructure in its community development effort. Women groups, farmers and artisans were empowered through trainings and demonstrations. Over 23,000 rural dwellers benefited from the project's agro-processing scheme. Multi-purpose treasures dramatically influenced agro-processing in target village areas. The AFDB CBARDP project created income-generating activities as a way of combating poverty in the rural areas. Activities had ranged from soap making to shoe making, affording both male and female beneficiaries to improve their income status.
We did was first to build the capacities of this group after organizing them into groups, registering them and getting them identified. The next thing we did was to build up their capacities, which through the CDD Foundation training, most of them were trained. After the training, based on their needs assessment and the PRA, there were various interventions that were identified through the PRA. Based on the report of the PRA, we have been addressing the issue of poverty through the result of the report of the PRA. So we have different types of intervention, starting from production aspect, livestock, crafts, things like dyeing, weaving, knitting, barbing, that is for the youths, and even in some states, they have gone into food, additional value to food to sell and make money. They are all doing it. A lot of things have been provided in the area of drudgery reduction. Machines were provided for them, which helps in reducing drudgery, and at the same time, it's earning money for the groups, which makes the groups very viable. So various types of intervention have been provided to these groups, depending on what each and every group asks for.
The communities are put at the driving side, while the staff of the ADP give them the maximum support and training and guidance for them to benefit from whatever intervention they are doing.
Where we have cases where a whole village, their local chickens have been replaced by the improved cockerels that we gave them. That has improved their protein intake and also even their income, because the price of the improved chickens are higher than the local one. We've also had cases of upgrading of sheep, whereby they have been very prolific and the farmers have been able to get reasonable numbers of sheep and rams as a result of crossing the improved breeds that we took to them.
But to crown the benefits of rural development strategies, infrastructure in rural areas has to be developed. Many development experts see lack of access roads in rural areas as constituting a serious poverty trap. Lack of access and farm roads has led to the physical, social, political and economic isolation of rural areas. Without roads, the rural poor are cut off from development, mobility, markets and sources of inputs for their sustenance. In view of this, the project has successfully constructed over 100 feeder roads in the targeted states. It has also rehabilitated over 160 rural access roads. One of the most remarkable influences of access roads to a rural community was recorded in Tulawango area in Gombe State. Tulawango area is a community of dispersed settlements on the valley, surrounded by a mountain range. Even though the distance between Bwale and its village headquarters is less than 8 kilometers, it was a difficult journey since the onset of the settlement in the 16th century. Rocky and steeply terraces make journeys difficult for Bwale citizens. Riding donkey and trekking were the only means of transporting goods and people in and out of Bwale. It was indeed a worrisome situation where inaccessibility deprived the inhabitants of a decent education, health services, agricultural development and social amenities. The project intervened by awarding the construction of a 7.2-kilometer access road linking Bwale community to Tulawango. It was a landmark development. Social and economic activities were immediately boosted. Primary school enrollment increased as women and children gained immediate access to health centers in Wango.
With the opening of this road, women are carried in the vehicles because now the vehicles go down without any problem. And even the pickups are able to bring up to 40 to 50 bags and climb the hill from Bwale to the town here to sell.
Myself personally, I'm very happy because time has come for me. As I told you earlier on, I reside in this hamlet, Bwale. And God has helped me, I'm erecting 4 bedrooms. So time has come for me to now buy this building material so that I will roof those 4 bedrooms. Considering the rainy season is at hand. And my joy is that with the emergence of this road, you can see we are following this road and the road is motorable and it's a short distance. Within a short time we will reach.
Apart from access roads, water supply is a major constraint on rural poverty reduction. Owing to lack of access to water for domestic and productive use, the livelihood of rural dwellers is greatly hampered. The project constructed 150 water points across the project areas fitted with water pumps. The boreholes drilled generally affected households' income, increased agricultural production, boosted livelihood occupations and dramatically changed the health and well-being of the people. The project has achieved most of its targets. 6,000 community-based organizations were created and trained to prepare their own development plans, implement the plans, and monitor successes. With the help of research institutes, crop yields have significantly increased. The cultivation of maize, soya beans, cowpea, cassava and yams have doubled and in several instances tripled beyond expectations. Animals procured from relevant institutions have begun changing flocks of target communities as improved small ruminants are becoming prominent. The introduction of agro-processing machines dramatically reduced drudgery in post-harvest processing and has increased incomes and economic activities in beneficiary communities.
I say by this time we have a kind of a great success. A great success because most of the implementable activities that we are supposed to do, implement, have been implemented or have been implemented. For example, the capacity building, it has been achieved. And also you can see those roads that are being constructed and the water that is being provided to communities. Communities that hitherto doesn't have water, they have now water for themselves and for the animals. So this is a very great impact. And there is also these roads. Some of the communities are bringing out some of their agricultural produce to the market. They have easy access to social facilities like hospitals. They can be able to transport their sick people easily to the hospitals. It makes it very easy. And also the time lag, for a community, village people to travel from one point to another, it makes it very easy. So if you look at this, there is a very great impact and a very good economic and financial benefit to the nation.
No stakeholder, however, will ever wish for a termination of a development cycle, the phenomena of earlier development projects in Africa. Project sustainability was therefore a major concern of the community-based agriculture and rural development project. The exit strategy of the project, which will ensure sustainability, is based on 4 cardinal supports. First, Capacity building was entrenched into all stages of the project to ensure communities are empowered at all levels to maintain innovations and development systems deployed by the project. Bodies of knowledge in vital areas like nutrition, water management and other production areas were deposited within groups and associations that act as resources for training others and ensuring the continuity of the project. As a last strategy, administrative committees were inaugurated and trained to maintain vital rural infrastructures like roads, machines and boreholes. With this sustainable approach to rural development and poverty alleviation, the African Development Bank's community-based agriculture and rural development project has set an example that many states are ready to imbibe.